Before you go on that next date or go into a new relationship, stop right now. I want you to watch this video first because we need to understand what anxious attachment is and how that's going to guarantee that you find better relationships. I'm David Medor, and I'm glad you've stopped by today. Have you been frustrated when you go out on dates or you've been in relationships and maybe you feel like the other person just suddenly vanished, or you've been disappointed? You feel like when somebody all of a sudden pulls away, you've got this panic attack going on, fluttering in your chest. You feel like you need to reach out to them and figure out what's going on. And then when it seems like they're pulling away more, you're in this vicious cycle and you're just worried all the time that your relationship is going to end. I'm here to tell you that I've been there. You know, somebody like myself, having dealt with anxious attachment, it sucks. It makes dating very difficult. But I've also found some tools that have helped me find the love of my life because now I'm engaged, and I'm here to share what I've learned with you because I'm hoping that despite all you've been through, you don't give up on dating and that you can actually find that love you're looking for. Anxious attachment, this way of getting our needs met, is very damaging because what happens is that based on our past experiences, anxiety was our norm. Things just ended. People left. We always had to wonder where we were standing. People weren't consistent. People weren't loyal. Even if we want to date better partners or asking why we date who we do, when it comes to our subconscious, it's wired to bring us the same things we've always gotten. Because when it comes to survivability, your subconscious likes what's familiar. If you've had these consistent experiences, anytime you want to change that, we see that as a threat within us because it's basically saying, oh my God, this doesn't feel normal. It's why all of a sudden when somebody is emotionally available and they're super nice to you, you probably resort to questioning it. Like, are they for real? Is this too good to be true? Maybe there's no chemistry. And why? Well, because that's not your norm. And it's sad to think about that with anxious attachment, being treated right isn't our norm. So we tend to reject it, but then we tend to attract more of the bad situations where we're not treated well. How do we change this? The first thing you have to do is understand what anxious attachment is all about. So understanding that it's our way of getting our needs met, we can dive deeper. You might see this pattern of, oh, I tend to attract people that maybe aren't consistent. Maybe they're long distance. Maybe they're already in a relationship. And you're going to start to notice that, hey, even though I'm looking for healthier relationships, I tend to find people who don't show up. And with anxious attachment, the core wound is abandonment. We tend to look for every reason why a relationship is going to fail. And unfortunately, because we're attracting people who aren't available, it's a prophecy that always gets met. We're always going to find somebody who's eventually going to leave or, disappear, ghost us. And then we can tell ourselves, see, this is how it always works. But unfortunately, that's actually what our brain wants us to do because it's saying, I don't want you to grow. I don't want you to change this dating pattern because if you do, I'm afraid you won't survive. So we have to really learn how to talk to our subconscious. And this is where making a list of how you get your needs met is a really good exercise. Another thing you can do is anytime you feel like you're being ignored, abandoned, you can just step back, take a walk outside, do some deep breathing exercises, and you can really examine what you feel in your body. Like say if you're feeling anxiety because the other person hasn't texted you back, you might feel heart fluttering, you might feel warmness in your hands. You're just breathing in, breathing out very slowly, really getting in tune with how you feel. If I were to make a sentence of what I believe is going to happen next, like I will be abandoned, I will be cheated on, which one most accurately describes what you're feeling? And then once you do that, you want to take it a step further and think of cases where you felt like that, but the opposite was true. Was there ever a time where someone did show up for you? Was there ever a time where you were pleasantly surprised thinking something wasn't going to work and it did? Whatever that statement is, like I will be abandoned, I will be rejected. Think about how you can take care of you. What can you do for yourself when you feel this way? Like, for example, if you feel like you're going to be abandoned, how can you actually be there for you today? Maybe it's taking a nice, relaxing bubble bath, pampering yourself, taking yourself out on a date. So if you want change, it starts with you because once you change you, you're going to attract better for you. The really cool thing about this is as we start really understanding how we anxiously attach and we understand how we get our needs met, we can start asking these questions of how can I meet my own needs? If I feel lonely, what can I do that I might enjoy? This is an opportunity where you can learn about you, learn about what you like. You'd be pleasantly surprised. I was a guy that thought I never had rhythm, and I was always like socially nervous, many years ago. So to tell you that I discovered dance, I wouldn't have said that 5, 6 years ago. I would have laughed. Anxious attachment can actually become a gift for us because we can use it as this tool now where if we attract partners who are providing those needs of availability, of security, of loyalty, they can communicate, you're going to find that you're not going to always be wondering where you stand. It's not our partner's job to solve anxious attachment for us. But at the same time, think about it this way. If you're with a partner that doesn't treat you well, it's going to be a lot harder to work on your own trauma and your own past than somebody who's your biggest fan. See, it's great to have somebody by your side that says, look, I know you've had this past. I'm going to be here if you need me, but I also know you can do it. And it's really encouraging too, right? Wouldn't you want somebody who treats you well, that's by your side, that's consistent? Because I can tell you right now, it opens doors to love that I personally have never experienced. Because once I changed that script for me, I had given up on marriage and now I'm engaged. I'm telling you, if I can do it, you can do it too. And I'm glad you watched this video because, those days ahead for you are going to be the best of your life.